Greetings. There can be no schemes in the energy sector. Energoatom is facing a reset. The Ministers of Energy and Justice should not remain in their positions. The President of Ukraine has once again commented on the high-profile corruption case in the energy sector. His address has just been published, and let us remind you that this morning the Cabinet of Ministers suspended the Minister of Justice, Yedyni Galushchenko, for the duration of the investigation. He is a figure in the high-profile investigation by NABU and STB.
Wishing you good health, dear Ukrainians. Today, I had a detailed conversation with the Prime Minister of Ukraine, Yulia Sviridenko. First, there must be absolute transparency in all processes within the energy sector, and I support every investigation conducted by law enforcement and anti-corruption agencies. We support them. And this is an absolutely clear and consistent position for everyone. No schemes, and it is good that the Cabinet of Ministers of Ukraine will provide full assistance to the investigation and all procedural judicial actions. There will be a cleansing and a reboot of the management of Energoatom. Secondly, I believe that the Minister of Justice and the Minister of Energy cannot remain in their positions. This is, among other things, a matter of trust. If there are accusations, they must be answered. The decision to suspend them from office is prompt, the fastest possible. I asked the Prime Minister of Ukraine to ensure that these ministers submit their resignations. I asked the members of the Verkhovna Rada to support these resignations. And from here on, everything should be resolved in the legal domain. Thirdly, there will be a decision by the National Security and Defense Council regarding sanctions based on a submission from the Cabinet of Ministers of Ukraine. And right now, it is extremely difficult for everyone in Ukraine to endure the power outages. Russian strikes, losses. It is absolutely unacceptable that under these circumstances there are still some schemes in the energy sector. I will sign a decree imposing sanctions against 2 individuals who are involved in the NABU case concerning the energy sector. Right now, we all need to defend Ukraine. To betray the state means to be held accountable for it. To break the law means to be held accountable for it. I want to thank everyone who stands with Ukraine. I thank everyone who defends our state and our people. Glory to Ukraine.
Today, the High Anti-Corruption Court imposed a preventive measure on the second suspect in the NABU case, former advisor to the Minister of Energy, Yedyni Novyny. He was taken into custody with the option of posting bail in the amount of 126 million hryvnias. According to the investigation, Novyny was allegedly one of the main organizers of a corruption scheme at Energoatom, and they reportedly blackmailed suppliers of the state company. If those suppliers wanted to sell goods or provide services to Energoatom, they had to pay a 10 to 15% kickback. In this way, the participants in the scheme managed to extract and launder at least $100 million from businesses. This is according to NABU data. Before this, in a neighboring courtroom, a preventive measure was chosen for Dmitry Bavsov, the executive director for security at Energoatom. The court ruled for 2 months of detention or a bail of 40 million hryvnias, although the prosecutors requested bail of over 45 million. After the verdict, Bavsov's lawyer told journalists that they would appeal the court's decision.
I'm convinced that this case will be very lengthy. It's unlikely that this case will be resolved quickly, and considering the number of violations I have recorded, everyone will see this case through their own eyes and will note the violations that exist.
Let me remind you, 7 individuals have been officially notified as suspects in the case. In addition to the 2 already mentioned, this includes a businessman, the head of a criminal organization, and 4 back-office employees involved in money laundering, as stated in the documents from the SAP and NABU. All of them have been declared suspects. 5 of them were detained, while 2 managed to leave the country. The former Deputy Prime Minister has also been notified of suspicion of illegal enrichment. According to NABU, he was among those who visited the so-called laundromat, where money obtained through criminal means was laundered. Investigators are not disclosing any official names. Yesterday, Russians once again attacked energy facilities in several regions, reports Ukrenergo, citing the consequences of previous attacks. Most regions continue to follow scheduled hourly power outages and power restrictions for businesses. Ukrenergo is asking Ukrainians to use electricity sparingly. There is little generation and high consumption, especially in the evenings. Ukrenergo urges that saving electricity by every consumer will help reduce the duration of forced outages. 5 residents of Kherson region were injured the day before due to Russian shelling. The enemy strikes dozens of settlements in the region almost every day, destroying social, critical, and transport infrastructure, gas pipelines, businesses, and residential neighborhoods. Yesterday marked the third anniversary of Kherson's liberation from the occupiers, but due to constant attacks, there were no celebrations. People simply greeted each other. Across the entire region, Russian bandits are hunting civilians with drones, and the Ostriv neighborhood is under constant artillery fire. It's very loud there and almost deserted. People cook their food over open fires and are simply trying to survive. Most of the houses are damaged or destroyed. Before the war, 29,000 people lived here. Now, only 200 remain, either because they don't want to leave their homes or they can't imagine another life for themselves.
I'm constantly hiding. As soon as the drone is gone, I immediately run over there. It's scary. It's been like this here for 35 years. We live on, and that's why, I don't want to go anywhere. I'll stay here as long as my house is standing, as long as I can.
There are about 220 to 240 people left there. The situation is constantly changing because some people might come there, collect their things, then leave again, and so on. At the moment, there's no electricity or gas there, and water is only available for about an hour because the utilities were damaged by shelling. The Ukrainian ship will definitely be without heating this winter.
The Russians have advanced in Pokrovsk and occupied the village of Chunishine south of the city. In fact, the enemy has come right up to the Donetsk-Pokrovsk highway, according to analysts from the Deep State Resource. According to our war correspondents, the Russians are now trying to entrench themselves in apartment buildings and set up their firing positions there. At the same time, they are putting pressure on the northern part of Pokrovsk. The enemy is moving toward the Pavlohrad-Pokrovsk highway, and in Rodinska, which is near Mirnohrad, our paratroopers are driving out enemy personnel. They even had to deploy tanks for this. Near this settlement and close to Krasny Lyman, the Russians tried to gain a foothold and create a bridgehead for further advances. The difficult situation is also being reported by the 7th Air Assault Corps itself, as fighting is taking place not only in Pokrovsk but also around the city. The Russians are preparing to launch mechanized assaults on Mirnohrad, but for now, the enemy is mainly attacking in small groups and using motor vehicles. A portion of the occupiers who recently entered Pokrovsk from the Donetsk side have been eliminated. An evacuation train was met in Volyn. Residents of Pokrovsk, Kostiantynivka, and other frontline cities have arrived from Donetsk region. These people have lost everything and now will have to get used to life in a new place. In Volyn, almost 1,500 places have already been prepared to shelter as many evacuated Ukrainians from the shelling as possible. One
after another, people step off the train, tired, confused, but finally safe.
We are from Krasny Lyman. Horrors, horrors, you can't even go outside there, everything is already destroyed. Drones are constantly flying overhead.
Most of their homes have been destroyed. In their heavy bags is whatever they managed to take with them. Is that everything?
Take everything in your hands, close it up. They've lost everything, arriving in a new place and into the unknown.
Special housing has been prepared for people for temporary accommodation. Charities help to repair and equip it.
This facility is for 52 people, 52 beds. Showers and restrooms have been installed, the kitchens are equipped, household appliances have been purchased, and it is furnished. These are the minimum conditions so that they can adapt.
Miss Irina Spokrovska is checking out the new conditions. In the past few months, this is the best she has seen.
Everything is brand new. I walked into the kitchen and the stoves are clean too. Honestly, I didn't expect this. I thought it would be much worse.
She didn't leave her hometown until the very last moment. But when she lost everything, she decided to evacuate.
They showed my neighborhood and the edge of my house is gone. I had 3 apartments there and now I have none.
People have been provided with food and everyone will receive a medical checkup at the local family clinic. For those who lost everything because of the war, they are trying to create comfortable conditions and help solve urgent issues. And they continue to set up such temporary accommodation centers because the number of evacuees from frontline areas keeps growing.
In general, as of today, we have a request from the state to set up approximately 2,000 beds for evacuation purposes. We understand that the front line is moving. We understand that people are being forced to leave their homes. Coordination centers and transit centers in the east are overcrowded.
In the Volyn region, they have already prepared almost 1,500 places to accommodate people from dangerous areas. Katerina Kurbanova, Pavlo Olisivnenko, Fact, ICTV, United News.
They are rebuilding the village from ruins, and with their own money they are creating a memorial park for fallen defenders. This story is about the residents of Novohrihorivka in the Mykolaiv region. The Russians practically razed this village to the ground. Fierce battles were fought here. Less than half of the villagers have returned to their destroyed homes. It is mostly volunteers who are helping people rebuild, and sometimes they achieve the impossible, as the village is being revived after the Russian invasion. Yedyni will tell the story.
They survived the war, they survived the stress. You could say they came here because there were people missing over there. And now they too are enjoying life.
Ms. Helena shows her roses, which are blooming again in her yard after the Russian shelling. The shattered gates are a reminder of the 9 months of fierce fighting here.
Those are my gates, and for now they'll stay just like that. I replaced the fence.
Halina Mikhailovna was one of the first to return to the destroyed Novohrihorivka at the end of 2022. Since then, together with other villagers, she has been rebuilding her home and is grateful to the volunteers, especially the Nazaruk family from Rivne region.
They made my home completely safe and comfortable, livable so that I could stay here and wait for victory. All of this was done by people from Dolbuni. Misha is a furniture maker himself. They ordered the fittings.
Next, Mrs. Halina shows us her small kitchen. This is
my little kitchen. This was also Misha. He made it himself. When they were doing all this, they didn't allow me to come in here. They invited me into my house only after they had finished everything.
Mrs. Helena is happy to return to a normal life in her own home. She says the aid from e-restoration was only enough to buy building mixes and one window. The house had to be restored almost from scratch.
To do what they did, I could never have done it myself. If I had actually paid for all of the work that was done, I definitely wouldn't have had enough money to cover even half of this project. But by doing it this way, they ended up doing everything for me completely free of charge, which was a huge help.
But the biggest surprise for Mrs. Helena was the bathroom. And
now come in and see what's here. This is all the beauty. It's all a gift. They said, we're doing this for you from ourselves. We all chipped in, the crew that came here. And
this is what the room looked like 2 years ago.
Here, at this very moment.
There will be a room.
And
there was a room here.
There was one, and it will be a bit smaller now.
There was neither a ceiling nor a wall here. Back then, our film crew recorded how Mrs. Helena lived among the ruins.
Look at this beauty. And tomorrow I'll buy wallpaper, I'll buy emulsion paint. I'll whitewash here, put up the wallpaper, and paint.
Now, Maria Helena Mikhailovna's dream of a restored house has come true.
My brothers are fighting, and I worry. I worry about other soldiers too, because I really, truly understand just how many lives are lost there while we live here. We have rebuilt, in spite of those racists.
Novohrihorivka, completely destroyed by the Russians, has begun to recover. Despite everything, less than half of the residents have returned here. Currently, there are 170 people here.
People are already working on their garden plots. People are starting to get going. This year we had a lot of flowers on the street, just like before the war. They're planting roses.
In the village, there's a small shop operating. This is where the villagers gather most often. And volunteers still haven't forgotten about the people of Novohrihorivka. They bring humanitarian aid here. And besides rebuilding their own homes, the locals are also arranging the Glory Park.
Only 9 guys. This is Ihor. He's from our village, a local. And this is mostly Vinnytsia region, Miss.
Irina took it upon herself to collect information about the fallen soldiers who defended Novohrihorivka from the Russians. Recently, she learned about 14 more. Their portraits have already been brought from the print shop. The woman finds the relatives of the defenders herself.
Because, after all, it's been 3 years. They are very grateful. They don't forget that the village is destroyed, that you need to rebuild, and yet you are doing this with your own money.
Now the villagers have managed to raise 35,000 hryvnias on their own for further development of the park. Irina considers this her duty. Her husband is currently at the front.
I drop everything and go. This is more important. We can't bring our fallen heroes back to life. But what is the least we can do to ensure their memory lives on forever?
Luisa Yeryomina, Daniil Slij, Fact ICTV, United News.